Hello and very good evening. Today we are here
Really.
for this new episode of our podcast, and today we are going to talk about the Independence Day, as today is the eve of Independence Day, right? And let's reflect on the importance of Independence Day, because this day has not come, very easily. Thousands of people have laid down their lives, and gave this nice gift to people. People like us. Now we are enjoying this, but those people had never thought that they would ever be able to enjoy this day. Had they ever thought about enjoying this freedom, they would not actually have risked their lives, because everybody wants to live. Why would they ever risk their lives? But they never thought about it, and gave this wonderful gift that we are enjoying right now. Right. So first, before I start this show, I would like to introduce my guest, and he is Ravin Burma, and he is a lawyer, right, by profession. And today we are here to discuss the importance of this Independence Day and what it means to us, right? So, first of all, Robin, I would like you to start introducing yourself to the audience, and then we'll be moving ahead with the show. Yes, over to you.
Okay, very good evening to you and Independence Day, happy Independence Day to you and to all the viewers who are probably watching this uh, video, especially a creation for the Independence Day and to know the values of independence. So, since you asked a very question about the value of independence, right?
Yes.
And for all of us, and how many ways we can celebrate it and what exactly it means when we say we are independent, right? So it is, you can say, a holistic kind of a question that actually targets several things altogether. So one response can provide solutions for many questions. So responding to the very first question you asked about Independence Day and what it means. See, every person has their own understanding about independence, and people experience it on the basis of their so far journey that they have had. And but there is one more thing which is very common factor among all people is that somewhere we are, not able to understand the very meaning of independence for which our country got independence. So, I mean, a hackneyed definition, a very unobtrusive definition, which a very commonplace definition could be of independence, is that some Britisher came to India and they ruled over us for more than 250 years, and they served with their oppressive policies. They actually treated with us some very tyrannical attitude. And one day, finally, we got independence from the shackles of British establishment. So this is what we basically know as a surface uh, knowledge and understanding about independence. But in my opinion, independence is far more than this, what we understand it. In fact, it is incomplete in sense, in my views. Because when we talk about independence and discuss about independence, we always try to understand it only in the context of the British establishment. Now, it's been more than 78 years since we are celebrating 78 Independence Day, right? So it's been more than 77, independence. And on those 77 occasions, or now today, including 78 occasions, we have got reminded of this fact that we got independence. We, when we talk about Independence Day, remember we have to address all important components. When you miss any of those components, you actually don't try to address it in its true sense. So, what, according to me, independence is all about when you come out freely and when you express your opinions without having any hindrances on you. When you have all right to travel across the India, when you have all right to conduct and carry out any business, when you have all right to form associations with people around you, whomsoever you want, when you have a full expressions and freedom to live the life the way you want. You all have everything which actually provides you and nurtures you in some or other way. All these things, if you are able to do without having any restriction on it, then in true sense, it will be called an independence for each and everyone. But unfortunately, this idea is just confined to only British establishments and its tyrannical, conduct and demeanor over some Hindus people and Indian people, and that's it. So I think we must need to go beyond this definition, and we must try to figure out exactly that when we talk about independence, so in what context we are talking about. We are living in the independent world or in the independent era, so we have to be very cautious, and we have to be very vigilant so that we could utilize this very independence and capitalize each and every moment so that we could carry this development forward of this country in its true sense. So this is my overall understanding about independence, and this is how a person must understand what independence is all about. Over to you.
Yes, the question I want to ask you is before I ask you, I would just ask you to say something about. I'm gonna ask you, right? The question is, as we know this freedom, right? And we don't actually understand what freedom means. People sometimes get confused with the notion of freedom. I mean, they think whatever they're doing is something they can do because they're free, and uh, and they should not be stopped by anybody. There should be no restrictions imposed on them just because they're living in a free, or I would say independent country. But what do you think? How do you define freedom in today's context? Because uh, people should have the crystal clear definition of freedom. So this is what I want you to reflect
Yeah,
on.
absolutely right. And in fact, this has become a pet peeve for most of the leaders running, especially this democracy with the democratic instruments such as a constitution. Because when we provide in our constitution a complete fundamental rights for people to be utilized by them, to be exercised by them, unfortunately, the same people who are the citizen of this country misuse it in the name of freedom of expressions and freedom of doing anything. So therefore, it has to be a line to be drawn, and this line has to be drawn much scientifically with ample amount of knowledge to be imparted with all those youth, especially because those who have experiences, especially being a part of this country, they know very well about what independence is all about. But this new generations which is coming out, they are actually, first of all, not very well aware about the true independence and exactly the kind of independence that has been bestowed upon each and every citizen of this country. And this has to be identified with the clear cut definitions as given in the Constitution. So, the first and the foremost thing that every person must understand in this very context, when we talk about what independence is, or what independence and freedom is all about, that first we need to understand the nature of the independence and the freedom. Remember, the independence and the freedom is not absolute in nature. So, this is something which we have to be very well cognizant about, that independence and the freedom of doing anything is not an absolute right, it's a qualified right. So, when you talk about something being a qualified right, that the state has a last decision to make on each of your activity, whether it should be categorized as a fundamental right of yours or not. A state defines it only on the ground as to whether your activity in the name of freedom that you are exercising causing any detrimental effect on the image of the country, which means directly or indirectly if it hurts the sentiment or the sovereignty of the country, or it disrupts any sort of public order. Any of your activities in the name of fundamental rights, if you claim, and the certain pertinent activity, if causes any kind of disruption in any way or causes disharmony in the social environment and the ambience, then you are or can be restricted upon by the state government. So there is a clear definition that there is no absolute fundamental right. It is a qualified right, and this qualified right must be utilized and capitalized with more knowledge and with well awareness, so that your right could not be imposed as a suffering on the right of other. So when you talk about right, it is incomplete without being dutifully utilizing the very right. So this is the exact definition as is given in the Constitution. Article 19 of the Indian Constitution deals significantly and substantially about it. Over to you.
Yes, yes, nice. Because what people think that they've got the freedom of speech, the freedom of action, so they can say whatever comes to their head. And you might have seen that people end up saying anything they should
Right.
not be saying actually. So the next question I want to ask you is, in your view, what is the most significant achievement India has made after gaining the independence? And you would also be talking about the challenges India has. India is really facing nowadays, and which challenges that we are truly, enjoying the kind of freedom we are supposed to have. So yes,
This is such a very nice question, and first of all, I got this opportunity to share one thing very important. Few days back, I was given an opportunity to make a review on a book called India That Is Bharat, and the book's author is himself a very prominent and a firebrand speaker called J. Sai Deepak, the Supreme Court lawyer, right? So he wrote this book. He is a very well skilled writer as well as a spokesperson, or he is a speaker itself. And now he wrote this book, and when I got this opportunity to read the book, I was so overwhelmed, to be very honest, to be able to read that book. The book is very much voluminous in nature. It is consisted of more than 700 pages. So the book is like a nectar for all those people who really wants to know what India is all about. Because the theme, if you can see, as I told you, that India That Is Bharat means what you talk about India, it is basically a Bharat. So Bharat is the first identity that we must treat, especially when you call India. So first comes the Bharat and thereafter comes India. So India That Is Bharat. Now you asked a very pertinent question, and that is what I think about the most developed thing which we experienced it, witnessed it, especially after the Independence Day. See, to be very honest, me, you, or anyone who took birth, especially after this 1947s, probably because we really don't know what exactly happened before 1947, right? So we could know only through readings, we could only know through books, but still we can understand it, but we cannot absorb, imbibe it very empathetically, right? So there is always a missing to understand the very real sense of independence, right? And the real sense of development. But one thing which I'm really sure about it is that apart from India, several other countries being rolled over by different kind of countries. Especially British was the one which actually ruled over almost 70% of the total land of this country of this world, right? And
yes,
when British came to America in around 1492, Columbus with the Columbus journey, right? Within just 200 years, the entire American island converted into Christianity. The entire island converted into some other religions. They have completely gone distracted and disunioned with their own cultural roots. Now compare us with those Americans, which they were not Americans in real sense. Now we were ruled more than 750 years, 750 years. So this is a large amount of time. We faced oppressive policies over the period of time. First came the Mughals, first came the Europeans, then Mughals, then British. Everything has been completely ruined in this way. But still, you can see right now we are union. I don't know how it is possible. Us three different tyrannical establishments came here, ruled us, and then again we are united. We are still united with the same idea, with the same kind of cultural root. So there is no disunion from the cultural root from within the country is, I think, the best, carrying forward development, which is still in retaining in situation is a retaining position. This is the first development which I see, because no country can be called a complete separate country, right? After they have faced this kind of environment of the oppressive policies. So it is the only India which actually did it. So this was all about from my side on this question. So over to you.
yes. My next question is, what do you think you should means the kind of message you would be conveying to the people, especially the youth of this country, because uh, the whole I would say the country's progress depends on the on the youth of the country. They are the future of the country, and if they are on the right track, they can take the country to the top. And if they are, off track, or they are, derailed, then perhaps it would be quite difficult for the country to maintain its sovereignty, at the same time to make any progress in the future. So tell me, what kind of message would you like to give to the youth, so that they should be contributing to the development of this country, and they should be taking the country to new heights. Because nowadays, what I see around me, and what we see actually around us, that you might have heard this term brain drain. Because
Yeah.
when people they think that they are not actually safe in the country, they are not actually they don't have enough opportunities in the country, and they have the ability, or they have the resources to go to other countries and settle there. So they just make up their mind, they just leave the country, and this is a very big loss for the country. And country is not actually responsible. Country is nothing itself, because we make the country. If we are shying away from our own responsibilities, then who would come forward to take the charge, right? But no matter how educated people are, but nobody actually gives it a second thought, and they just leave the country, and this is a very big loss. And they being born in this country, it is a duty to take it to new heights, right? But nowadays, people are shying away from the responsibilities. So the message, tell me what kind of message you have for the people, so that they should realize the responsibility, and they should be contributing to the development of the country, and they should be uh, converting this country into the kind of countries they're dreaming of being there, right? So yeah, over to you.
The right question. First of all, if we really talk about how we could, contribute to the country, to this especially independent country, I mean, we need to ignite some force within us. And this ignition of force, or this ignition of blazing fire in us, is only possible when you know the cultural reality of this country. And this cultural reality of the country could only be known when you really can feel the kind of uh, situations that prevailed at one point of time, and especially how our freedom does, all those revolutionaries and all those kinds of freedom strugglers did to us. Until unless we know the reality, we can absorb the reality. The fire within us cannot propel us, because we need to have a strong reason to do something, right? Until we have a strong reason to do something, a strong factor that is consistently working as a propelling force within us, we cannot do anything else. So we have to just create a reason, find a reason. And once you get a reason, then you trust me, you can do anything you want to do for the country in the name of the development. So the first thing which I'm reminded of very well by the statement being made by a very famous philosopher, the 21st or the 20th century's philosopher Osho. He talks about there are two forms of knowledge. One is the knowledge that we learn, and the second form of knowledge that we understand and be aware of it. He says that we have to be very well versed and skilled in the knowledge which is understandable, which we understand it, which we absorb it, rather than something which is not, which we learn it. Because when you learn something, you actually acquire and accumulate knowledge. Accumulation of knowledge can never be a source for your taking off your business. This is something which we have to, very well clear about, right? So this very idea, I understand the nature of the knowledge, accumulate it in that way that you can transact it well, translate it into such a way that yes, you are doing something for the betterment of society. The bestest and the simplest way, according to me, as a how an individual could really contribute, if he really wants to contribute, is that start right from their own doors. Charity begins at home. We might have heard this very famous proverb.
Yes.
So if you really want to start your business of development as a contribution from your side to the country, start right from the location where you live. Find out all those lacunas and all those drawbacks that you find and all those setbacks, whatever the lapses you feel around you. Just go and try to figure it out anyhow. If you continuously do for a longer period of time, if you are helping only one person throughout the day, you are actually contributing. So it doesn't require you to first acquire a certain position in a society and then being thoughtful about being a contributing factor for the overall development. including economy and social. No matter what you are, the position you gather and enjoy, you alone, yourself, can really do miracle. So start right from your door. Whatever you think is good according to you, try to be more human and more compassionate and kind. And every step that you take right from your beginning, and especially of the day, that should be well guided, well instructed. Second important thing which I want to include to this is this: stop being influenced in this independent world. Stop being influenced, because when we get influenced by the people, we are actually being guided by the philosophy of that person. It's okay to learn something from the people and then apply in our life, but it's absolutely wrong to imitate the person as it is, because we lose our identity in this way. You have your own idea, you have your own capability to produce something, to contribute something for the country's betterment, and other people have their own different respective things. But think from that aspect and then move forward. And trust me, if you apply these all rules in you and then force and thrust you as a mechanical source, then trust me, you can do miracles. You don't know whatever you can do, but trust me, it is going to make a big sense for the overall development of the country. What do you?
Yes, this is very nicely said, because means I'm also reminded of a thought. It's been actually said by Mahatma Gandhi, that if you want to make means be the change, if you want to see the change in the world, because if you want your country to be like other countries, then why don't convert it into that kind of country? If you're just
Right.
fleeing, if you are fleeing this country, if you are running away from this country, if you're leaving this country just because you want to settle down in other countries, you want to have the kind of life which you have dreamed of, and you are thinking that being in the other country you will have that kind of life, then this is just a false impression, because uh, it is said, there's a proverb in English language that the grass is always greener on the other side, because you haven't
Right.
been there, and you may have been dazzled by the kind of glamour the country has, means other countries have. But if you go there, and experience, then you would realize that everywhere the life is same, right? It has means
Absolutely.
it is only up to you, how what kind of life do you want to live, and you can live the same kind of life being here. And for me, the catalyst for me is, because I've been so much into our means you can say our own culture. That you might have heard and you might have seen this in the Ramayana, that you must have gained this knowledge, or I would say this kind of quality from Lord Rama, that he was never ready to leave his own land, because he loved that land so much. And that's something which I learned, means which I learned from the Ramayana. Even I had all the opportunities to be there in another country. I got the opportunities, but this kept reminding me of my duties towards my country. And it has also been said by Nelson Mandela in his own book, that is a long walk to freedom. It is his
Right.
autobiography. He says that a person has got two obligations in his life, and first one is towards his family, and the other one is towards his country. So being educated, if we are not actually realizing the responsibility, then we may be educated, but we are not actually educated, right? So
Right.
this is our duty, and this is our responsibility, that it is our fortune that we are born, means we are actually born this independent country. We haven't we had not born in that era when the Britishers were ruling over us, and they were torturing, and they were tormenting the people, right? It's sometimes I shudder at that thought when I think of those tyrannies which happened to our people. And now, as we are free in this country, we should be grateful to those people, and we should be helping those people's dreams being realized, right? They wanted this country to be free, they wanted this country to be developed. And if we are not taking the responsibility, then we are not actually being loyal to those people's
Right.
sacrifices, because those people
Right.
sacrificed a lot, and that's why we are enjoying this freedom. right? So this is what I want to say, that it is a responsibility on this Independence Day. Just by celebrating is not celebrating the independence country, I mean, Independence Day of the country, doesn't mean that we are actually being loyal to the country. If we don't help the countries, in the country's development, if we don't actually commit ourselves to to taking this country to new heights, then we are not actually we have no right to say that we are the citizen of this country, right? This is what I personally believe. I don't know, other people may have their own opinions. I cannot be This opinion cannot be universal. This is my own opinion, and that's why I decided to be here in this country. And when whosoever talks about being in other country or going to other countries and educating themselves from those countries, then I always suggest them that going to other countries cannot change you or cannot change your life if you haven't committed yourself to being good at anything, or to being to
Right.
uh, yeah. Just excuse me for a while. Wait.
Sure,
Yes. So
sure, sure,
yeah.
sure, sure, sure.
So what I want, I mean, what I was saying is that you should be realizing this responsibility, and then you should be taking the charge, and only then we can be proud of our country, right? Until or unless we are taking the charge, we are not, contributing towards the development of the country. Um, we cannot. So the country will still remain as it is, or it cannot actually go to, or it cannot
Right.
achieve new heights. So this is what I want to say. I just want you to make a final, I would say, uh, final comment on the same, and so that we can wrap up the show, because I want you to give some message to the people of this country.
So my first comment probably be the final statement to end this video, and this is that it is the right time to be very well cognizant about the real values of independence. Secondly, to be a bit thoughtful about each of your actions that you carry out in order to achieve anything which you prefer to be, whether it hurts the sentiments of other. Or the last thing which I want to include in this is that any of your actions in the name of freedom, if it is causing any breach or any sort of obstruction in the right of other, then be very active and right away try to restrain yourself from doing so. In this way, you will be giving an introduction, a true value of independence. Because true value of independence is that independence or that value where you utilize and capitalize each and everything out of your freedom, but at the same time, very well conscious about the need and the requirement of the person. Because no right can be sustainable without a sense of being dutiful. So continue to exercise your freedom and fundamental right, but with a sense of some duty on you towards other. In this way, we can form a good society. And as well as a society is always a unit of a nation. So as long as you make a good society, create a good, robust society, then it is going to produce a robust nation in terms of everything. So this is what is my final comment on this. And I hope you will follow this. Over to you.
Yes, and with this, I'm gonna wrap up this show, and means we will have nice conversations in the days to come, because we have now kicked off, with this particular show, because we wanted to start a new show with this, Independence Day, and now we are going to give you people something to means it's going to be a kind of a food for your thought, and you'll listen to some very very good episodes in the days to come. Till then, I'm taking a leave, and I'll see you in the next video.
Take care.
Take
Bye
care.
bye. Good night.
Bye bye. Good night.